For more interesting videos, subscribe to Tech Simplified TV and hit the bell icon for updates. Hey guys, welcome to the fourth episode of PERL programming in VLSI. In this episode, we are going to discuss overview of associative array, that is also called hash, creation of associative array or hash, accessing hash key and value, hash functions for various operations, array and hash mutual conversion, reference in PERL, backslash operator and ref function, referencing and dereferencing, creation of unnamed hash. So that's the menu for today. Let's begin. Associative array or hash. An associative array or hash is an array of scalar values associated with subscripts or index that are not 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, this is very different from the regular array that you might have seen in C programming language, because in there array only has index starting from 0 and increasing by integer. Here the index could be anything. Let's see how it is. Here subscript or indexes are any scalar values with no particular order. That means there could be integers, they could be jumbled up. There could be strings also, okay? Or mix of integer and strings. So anything could be there as an index. These subscript values are called keys. Corresponding array elements are called values. So here we map one key to one value. Okay. So the mapped data is called value, and the index is called keys. Okay. A value is mapped to its corresponding key only. Thus, a hash is a table of uniquely mapped key value pairs. Generically, it is called a hash table or hash. So this means when you have a hash, you cannot have two entries with the same index. Okay, you can have only one entry with one particular index, whether this index is scalar or this index is integer or any mix up of these two. Next point, hash variables always start with a percentage symbol. So when we are declaring a hash variable, obviously this is a variable and we have to define at the beginning. So when we define at the beginning, we use the percentage symbol along for identifying it and as per the PERL syntaxes. So this slide is done. Let's move on to the next slide. Creation of an associative array. So how do we create an associative array? Let's see. Entire hash variables, key and value, can be referenced using the percentage. So the first type, how we create a hash, we'll see how we create an entire hash. Okay. We write my percentage hash, then write equal to, then open a first bracket, that is and then we put a pair. Okay, first one here, name within double quotes is the key and Billy is the value. Okay, the similar way we put more pairs, age 21, okay, then occupation student, and then we close. Okay, so here this is one way we can create an entire hash at once. Similarly, another syntax we can use here is my percent hash is name, then we use the mapping. This is a mapping symbol, that is equal to, and then there is a right arrow. Okay, so this is a mapping symbol name is the key and Billy is the value, mapped value. Okay, so name arrow Billy, and then age arrow 21, then occupation arrow student, and we close the hash. So this is another representation of to create the hash at once. Now let's see how we can create a hash with individual hash variable entries. Okay, so to create a hash by declaring individual entries, okay, this way we can do it. We write $hash, then within the curly bracket, okay, or the second bracket, we put within quotes the key name, and we put a equal to sign and then equal to Billy. So this, now we are using the second bracket and not using the third bracket. Okay, that is the rectangular bracket. Okay, this is a bit different. Why I am talking about the third bracket here? If you recall, in array, when we are putting index, we put the third bracket there. This is a very much different from the regular array. Okay, so here the second bracket or the curly bracket comes into the picture, and we put the index. Here the index is name, the index is also called key, and the corresponding value is Billy. In the similar fashion, we write $hash, then the next index is, or the key is age, and its value is equal to 21, and then again occupation key and value is student. So this way, when we define by each element, we can create the hash on the go. That means we are inside a program, we have declared a hash somewhere in the top with no value, but later on we are getting this key value pair somewhere later in the code, and one by one we can populate the hash key. Okay, so this is a very, I think, a very useful thing. The previous one is also used in some cases, and you can use either of them as per your requirement. Okay, this slide is done. Let's move on to the next one. Accessing hash key value pair. So when you know the key, so there could be two scenarios or three scenarios. Okay, so first scenario is when you know what the key or the index is, how you get the value. This is how. So you print $hash, then you put the key inside the second bracket or the curly bracket, and you can print it or store it in some other scalar value. Okay, so this is one way. Okay, similarly we can put the key age and it will print 21, and when we the previous one, it will print Billy. Third one is we put occupation as the key here, $hash, then within the second bracket occupation, it prints this student. So if you remember last page where I have discussed just that how to create a hash one by one by creating one by one a key value pair, in the similar way we can access them in one by one manner. So this is one thing. Case 2, when you do not know the keys. Say you have for in program, say one module is talking to another module, and that first module created the hash, but the second module do not know what are inside that hash, or the hash is dynamically created and one by one it got populated, so you don't have idea of what all the keys are. Then how you access the key value pair of a hash? This is how. So first is that you write an array my @array equal to keys %hash. This will return all the keys into the array you define on the left hand side. So keys is the function, it's operate on the hash. Now you write for each my $key, and in the for each counter we have @array. So one by one this array will be exhausted. That means key will come, every key will come to us, and we print $key equal to $key has a value equal to $hash, then within the second bracket or the curly bracket $key. Okay, so it will give the value. So and we close the for each. So this will iterate and print the key value pairs one by one. So this is the case when you don't know the keys. We are done with the slide. Let's move on to the next. Third case, get the key value pair at once using each function. Each is another function for the hash table or the hash. So let's see how we can use it. We have to use while then $key and $value. I'm assuming here that I have used the my $key and $value expression defined earlier. So then here at inside while we write $key and $value within first bracket or braces is equal to each, then we write percentage hash, then we close the first bracket and we start the while by the curly bracket. Okay, inside that we print key equal to $key has value equal to $value and we close it. So this is the way each function can be used in a very efficient manner, and this while loop will continue till up to the last pair of the hash is exhausted. So this is another way when you do not know how many key value pairs you have inside the hash, okay, for a programming point of view. So this is the way you can access the key value pairs. Okay, so we are done with this section of accessing hash and key value. Let's move on to the next. Associative array or hash function. So far we have seen couple of functions like keys, each. I have just shown you in the previous slides. So let us see what all the hash functions are there and what purpose they are made for. Here we can see the keys returns a list of the keys. My @key array equal to keys percentage hash. Okay, so this will return all the keys. We have already seen that. I'm repeating again here because we are enlisting all the hash functions in this particular slide. Values return a list of values. Now we have used keys, but there is another function called values which can return the value in this way, that my @value array is equal to values percentage hash. So value array will now contain all the values. So you can either extract keys or extract values. Okay, there are two different functions. Each returns a key value pair in sequence. So we have just seen that example only. Delete removes a key value pair. Now we have created or added a hash key value pair, but this delete command, if we use, it will remove the key value pair, but only we have to operate like this, that delete $hash, then within the curly bracket or the second bracket we put the key. Okay, so this will remove the key value pair from the hash. Okay, another thing is that %b is equal to %a. %e is a hash which was created earlier and %b is a new one. So this copies one hash into another. In some cases we need to do such thing. For that we can use this is one hash is directly copied into another hash. %a is equal to reverse %b. So this will do what? That swap the keys and values, and they should be unique. Okay, so here when we reverse whatever the key value pairs in B, they will be reverse. So the key and value places will be interchanged in the hash A. Okay, provided that each key value pair is unique, so we do not have a repetition. So that's what I mentioned in, I think, in the first slide, that in hash we cannot have a duplicate entry of index. So that is the main theme always. So that will be applicable even if we do the reverse function. So that time values will become key and keys will become value. So I think we are good to go to the next slide. Let's move on. Here we are talking about array and hash mutual conversion. Okay, so let's see. My @array percentage hash. This will convert a hash into an array. Not necessarily that in order, but always with the keys. Okay. So hash is a basically unsorted or unordered array or kind of associative array, right? So when we convert into an array, there will be no orders. Okay, and values paired adjacently. So here, if you remember, initially we were placing one key and one value to create a hash. When they are turned into an array, so keys and values will now reside side by side. So key 1 value 1, key 2 value 2, in this order. Then my new percentage hash is equal to array converts a array back to a hash. So here one thing is that this array elements should be exist in pairs, so that we have pairs, so there should not be any unpaired thing, unpaired array element. So there should be a pair, and the consecutive array elements will be treated as key value like that. So key 1 value 1, key 2 value 2 like that when creating the new hash from the array. So here if we write my percentage array is equal to then key 1 value 1, key 2 value 2, key 3 value 3. So this is a explicit array, right? So and the left is hash. So it creates a hash from the list. It's an explicit example. Earlier was an implicit example. And my at the rate array. Okay. And another way is that then key 1, key 2, key 3 if we write, and then we write equal to, at the right hand side we write value 1, value 2, value 3. It will create the same thing. Okay. So these are the ways that we can convert a hash into array and array into a hash. So I think we are done with this section. Let's move on to the next. Reference in PERL. Before beginning the entire section, this is the second part, second section of this episode. Here we are talking about the reference thing. If you have gone through, you know the C language, right? There is a concept called pointer. In PERL, we can have the similar concept, reference. Let's see how we have. But in PERL, this thing is much more flexible to use. Reference in PERL. PERL allows you to have hard references to any piece of data or code. So we know that by this episode, we know that we have scalar, we have array, we have hash. So each can have one hard reference to each. Okay. Any scalar may hold a hard reference. So one scalar can contain the pointer or a reference of a another scalar or another hash or another array. Array and hashes contain scalars. Okay. So inside array or hash, there will be a list of scalars, as we know. Okay. The order is different in hash or array, but they contain in combination of scalars in a different manner. Hence, one can now easily build a nested data structures. Okay. So why we are saying this, that when we have a hash element are now scalars, and if instead of those scalars we have a reference presenting there, they could be pointed to another array or hash. So that means we can create a complex nesting. Okay. Nesting in detail I will discuss in the next episode, but before that you must know how the references work in PERL in order to be able to do such nesting. Hence now with the help of references we can create array of arrays, array of hashes, hashes of arrays, an array of hashes of functions. Okay, so these all combinations and many other combinations can come into the picture. So as we go on, we can have multiple combinations. Within third bracket items, if we put the items in a third bracket, makes a new anonymous array. Okay, and returns a reference to that array. So if we put array elements and left hand side we have a scalar, right, that will become a pointer to an anonymous array. Then if we use the second bracket and inside we put a list of things, and left hand side we of the equal to sign we have a scalar, that makes an anonymous hash. and it returns to reference to the hash. So if we have a left hand side, we have a scalar. That scalar will contain the reference or the pointer to that particular array or an hash, which is a anonymous, that don't have a name. We have not explicitly declared it, but it exists. Okay, so it is an anonymous array or hash. We are done with this particular slide. Let's move on. Backslash operator and ref function. Now why we need a backslash operator here? I'll come to that point. Okay, so here, by using the backslash operator on a variable or a subroutine or a value, typically creates another reference to that thing. So backslash operator helps us to create a pointer or a reference of a variable, a subroutine, or a value. Okay, backslash operator is similar to the address of operator and % operator in C. So if you have covered the pointers in C, you know that and % operator, whenever we used with that, it gives gives a pointer, right? So similar thing here we achieve with the backslash operator. So here, just for an example, $scalar ref, left hand side is our reference, okay, is equal to backslash $foo creates a reference of a scalar. Now similarly, array ref is equal to backslash @argv. It creates a reference to an array. So argv, you know, already discussed, I have discussed in the previous episodes. It's a predefined array. So, and if we use the backslash in front of it and store it, want to store the reference, we at the left hand side we have the array ref scalar. Next we have the %env, and if we add in the backslash to the right hand side, it will give the reference to a hash. Constant ref. So here we have right hand side, we have written a constant 186_282.442. So we use the backslash operator here, and we use the constant ref, reference to a constant. This will create a reference to a constant. Right hand side is not a variable, so it's not a scalar, it's not an array, not a hash, it's just a constant. So this will create the constant ref. The next one is the code reference. Okay, we have a code, that is, we have a subroutine, okay, which is named handler. Okay, and if we use this one, backslash and then the %, and handler, it will create a reference to the piece of code. This will create a code reference. Object reference. Object reference comes, okay, before explaining this line, I'll tell you something that in subsequent episode we'll cover the object oriented PERL. And when we if you know from C++ language object oriented concept, in particularly C++ or Java, so we have object oriented concept. So there we need to create an object, right, of a class. So here in this, now look at the example. We'll discuss or explain in detail of the concept, object oriented concept, later, but for quick know-how, this is how we can create an object. So object reference, $object reference is equal to new is a function that will create an object of the class student with the specific arguments as name, surname, and role. Okay, so this is how we create a object reference. There is a inbuilt function ref, which PERL already have, which will which can check and return the type of the reference. So there are many type of the reference. Okay, for a programming purpose, when you explicitly writing these lines, you know what is there, but in case where you don't know, you want to check, you got a reference and what is the type of it. Okay, so that time you can use the ref function. Usage, how you can use, you just put ref, and within the first bracket or the parenthesis, you use the $refvar. So $refvar could be any one of the above mentioned of I have mentioned 1 2 3 4 5 6, okay, 6 type of references here. So any of them, if you put, right, this function will return the type of the reference. Okay, whether it is a scalar, it is an array, or a hash, okay, or a constant, anything it will display. So this is the general explanation. We are done with this slide, so let's move on to the next. Here I am discussing some of the examples. So the reference function, okay, so in this pink there goes our code, and in the black box we will have our output. So let's see our code, starting with the hashbang user bin PERL. then you strict my $foo, and the scalar ref is $foo. Okay, next comes the array ref $argv, and then next come hash ref %env, and then we have the constant ref. So this I have already just explained in previous slide, and in this code we are using. Now we print here, print \n ref scalar ref. Okay, so you can see it prints in the right hand black box how it prints that ref then scalar. Okay, so you can see the scalar. Next we print the array ref, so it will print ref array. Okay, then we write print ref hash ref, it will print hash. So this ref function is one by one identifying each type of the reference, and then we write constant ref. So here it is returning scalar, so because it's also a scalar value, the constant. Okay, so here this is how we are able to create or any reference, and if we have a reference that we have not created, we can check the type. I have not shown about the object reference here because that needs a description of the object and the class to be created, so that will be done in the object oriented episode. Okay, so we are done with this section. Let's move on to the next. Anonymous referencing and dereferencing. We use hashbang user bin PERL -w, use strict, then anonymous scalar, then we use $foo and two buddies. Okay, then we use the scalar ref, how I already explained. We add a backslash on the right hand side of the equal sign, and then $foo. $dereference. Okay, now what is dereferencing? Dereferencing means we are we know the pointer, right, or where it is pointed. We want to get the value inside that pointer. So this is how we are getting the value. This already for a scalar reference we have done. So now we put a $, scalar ref. So $scalar ref is the I think the pointer or the reference here, and we add another more dollar to it. Okay, so this $dereference, that is deref, is now contain two buddies. Okay, there is a small typo here because 2 came twice in the comment. Okay, so sorry for the typo. Let's move on here. Anonymous array. So guys, this dereferencing means we have before starting the anonymous array, I just want to explain that dereferencing means that you have to, by reference, you have an address, okay, which contains some amount type of data. You want to get that data, so you have to dereference. This is a simplistic explanation. Now anonymous array is like we write $array ref is equal to, then within the rectangular bracket, right, we write 1 2, then again we have a rectangular bracket $a $b $c. Okay, sorry, within quotes ABC. Now if we want to get the values of this anonymous array, we write my @array equal to, now we add symbol before the reference, okay, or the pointer, then $array ref. For anonymous hash, this is how the anonymous hash reference created. So my $hash reference, then starts the curly bracket, and we have sky, then the arrow pointer, then the value is blue. Similarly, key value pair is rose and red. Okay, and we close that. And to dereference this hash, we use my %hash is equal to % then $hash ref. So if I sum up, right, so whatever the reference type is, if we want to dereference it, we just add another the similar type of symbol for $, for scalar, symbol for array, and % symbol for hash for dereferencing. Okay, so this is how we dereference a anonymous or a reference. Okay, anonymous array or hash could be a we can say separately, but for scalar we have to say it's a reference. Okay, so any kind of reference we want to dereference, we have to use that particular percentage sign or at the rate sign or the dollar sign respective to each type of those reference. Done with this particular slide, let's move on. Dereferencing by arrow notation. So we have some more things to see in the dereferencing part. Here, accessing a value. So we can use dollar array ref, then array, then arrow, then 0. So this means that we have a array reference and we want to access the 0th index element of it. So to print that, we can use dollar array ref, then one dash and then one arrow. Okay, this is the two different keystrokes from your keyboard, and then within the rectangular bracket the index 0. So it will print the anonymous array, the 0th index value. Okay, similarly for a hash we write dollar hash ref, then one dash, then one arrow, and then within the curly bracket, that is the second bracket, we put the key. So this will put the value corresponding to key of the anonymous hash. Assigning a value. So for assigning a value to the anonymous data structure, let's see. For array we have dollar array ref, then dash, then right hand arrow or right direction arrow, then within rectangular bracket we have 0 and we have set the value January. Okay, so this is for array. Similarly for hash, dollar hash ref, then dollar then the arrow, okay, and then key and equal to value. So you see there is a striking difference. When we create a hash element for a general hash, we don't use this arrow operator, okay, that is one dash and okay, and the right hand arrow. This is dash and not underscore, keep it in mind, this is dash. So this is how it is different for a anonymous array or hash and for a regular array or hash. Okay, so this is how things are different. So this is why this pointer section or the reference section is getting covered, so that you can just one by one side by side compare the hash and array for the two type of its existence, right? One is the anonymous one, another is the regular one. Okay, so we are done with this particular slide. Let's move on. Unnamed associative array or hash. So how we can have such array or hash? Okay, so in pink box goes our code, and in the right hand box goes our output. Okay, start our script with hashbang user bin PERL use script. We write ref hash, then we start it, and then we write apple, then we write the arrow direction. Okay, this arrow is different from in the previous page. Here we are explicitly creating, okay, and then banana, then yellow. These are colors of the keys. Okay, so sky is blue and leaf is green. Okay, and then we close it. So hash, this anonymous hash is created. Okay, so you can see in left hand side all these things do not have any code. So these are bare words. I have explained in the first episode. So these are bare words can be used in keys. Okay, now for each we have my dollar key, and then we have the keys. We directly actually creating here the array, okay, of the keys by using keys. Then we use percentage sign, then we are using the dereferencing here. Okay, then within the second bracket we put a reference hash. Okay, and then we print dollar key, and value will be printed as dollar ref hash, then arrow, then dollar key. So you see and compare, right? The when we are declaring, we are using a different kind of arrow when we are as a whole, or when we are accessing or defining as a anonymous, right? One by one we are using a different arrow. So keep this notations in mind. This might come in as an interview question. So we close the curly bracket here, and this is how we will be iterating over the hash. So if I execute the code, the values will be pop up as one by one like this. So key equal to and value equal to, so key value pairs will be printed like this. So this is a tried and tested code, so try this at your end. So we are done with this section, as well as we are done with this episode. So thank you very much, and stay tuned for the next episode. Please don't miss to like, share and comment. Sharing is the thing that you share and help others. That way, if you are watching this video, please share to others so that others also get the same help. Bye bye for now.